Well, happy game day morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. Hope everybody got home safe from their New Year's Eve party. Happy New Year, everybody. Man, I can't believe it's 2023. You know, it seems like it takes so long for the NFL season to get here, and before you know it, it is gone. And we only have one game left. At least we are sitting at home today, resting up, healing up, getting ready to take on the Commanders. And we can kick back and we can watch and see what the Eagles do. If the Philadelphia Eagles somehow lose to the New Orleans Saints today, that means there's still a chance for the Cowboys to end up winning, wow, the NFC East. It's crazy to think that after the way we as Cowboy fans, and I have to put myself in that category, we trashed the team during free agency because we looked at it and we said the Dallas Cowboys don't care about winning. You know, we need to go ahead and get the Von Millers. We need to go ahead and keep the Randy Gregors. We need to go get the Bobby Wagners. You know, we looked at and we saw the Miami Dolphins getting the Tariq Hills and things, and the Denver Broncos getting the Russell Wilsons and things, and the Cleveland Browns getting Deshaun Watson. With the exception of one team, it seemed like free agency for most teams that made major moves was a disaster. Cleveland Browns, boom. Denver Broncos, let's ride, boom. The Raiders, boom. All these teams that made major transitions and moves, it just didn't help them. Now, maybe you can say Miami, you can say the Eagles getting A.J. Brown, but we have to actually give credit where credit is due to Stephen Jones. You know, the cowherds and things are saying, you know, Stephen Jones, when we called him Cap Boy, you know, and Cap Boy and Jerry got a team that's 12-4. And if we were being honest with ourselves as we go through as fans, as talking heads, and kill this team, go back to before the season started when Tyron Smith went down, or go after the Tampa Bay game when Dak Prescott broke his thumb, and they said, don't worry about it, you're going to be 12-4. You would have literally said,
cocaine is a hell of a drug.
You say there's no way. You'd say there's no way. But here we are. Now, a lot has been made up. And see, this is where I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the reason why this happened. And it's obvious. It is obvious as can be that Dak Prescott is a kingmaker. You're saying what? You're saying,
What the hell's going on out here?
what do you mean, Mark? What are you saying, that Dak Prescott is a kingmaker? Here we go. You're going to go ahead and talk about Dak being a great quarterback. Yeah, well, see, you got to understand, Dak Prescott launches careers. Here's what Eddie George said about Dak Prescott. Now, I ain't heard anything from Eddie George forever. I don't know what Eddie George has been doing. But guess what? Now everybody wants to know.
Out of the Cowboys tonight against Tennessee. They are a 12-win, 11-win ball club, but in terms of the big picture, in terms of being that elite team, I don't see it quite there. As far as the quarterback play and consistency, your Dak Prescott, that's the problem. He is the Achilles heel. Again, he throws too many interceptions. For my liking, at this point in the season, right now, your offense should be humming. It should be built around confidence. It should be rolling, not making a lot of mistakes. But, you know, what I see out of Dak Prescott is a lot of forced throws, misreads and coverage. In the playoffs, the margin of error is so small. Every yard counts, every play counts, every turnover counts. And with the defenses that he's going to see in the playoffs, the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, they will feast on that.
I don't mean any harm.
This is where we bring a dignitary in for every home game. They stand.
I don't mean any harm, but didn't he just beat the Philadelphia Eagles? I'm just saying, hasn't he beaten the Eagles, you know, like in Nick Sirianni every time he's played? But okay, that's okay. But here's my point on this is, if you want to get into broadcasting or if you want to make a name for yourself, all you have to do is trash Dak Prescott. Nobody gave a rat's ass about anything Eddie George said until he trashes Dak Prescott. And this was Shady McCoy. Listen, of course, Shady. Listen, Shady.
Are you serious?
Where do you find the issue?
my watch coming off? No, let me take my watch off.
Take your watch off, big dog. Get comfortable, big dog.
What did I say that wasn't true?
First of all,
Watch is nice. Though.
yeah,
You took off a nice
first of
pair
all, Dak is ass, right? Can I say on TV? Because he is ass.
can say whatever you want on TV.
Okay, that's one thing. This is the second game that he's just lost by throwing picks. He threw 2 picks to the Packers, right? Had 14-point lead, lost, come back. They was up 17. My man, 17 and lost, picks. That first one, that pass he threw, the second one, not the first. The first one was terrible. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
That was awful. Like, where was he throwing that ball to? Are you serious?
Where do you find the issue?
Okay. Shady McCoy. Who gave a rat's ass about anything Shady McCoy had to say until he decided to be the village idiot and is just literally his only focus, his only contribution is trashing Dak Prescott. He's made a name for himself besides Cowboy hater number 1, but he's getting publicity. We're all talking about Shady McCoy, the worst takes ever. Shady, and if you're an Eagle fan, you know, or one of Cowboy haters, you love that. This has been the scenario for years. This is what Stephen A. Smith was the originator who found out hating on the Dallas Cowboys will make a name for myself. And they're not the only one. Think about Dan Orlowski. Dan Orlowski, Mr. Let me run out the back of the end zone, get a safety, and that's the margin that we lost for as the Detroit Lions. That guy, who is one of the most pathetic quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, now is an expert on everything that is being a quarterback. What has he always done?
Can take numbers and skew them any way we want. We often can take numbers and we'll fit them into the narrative that we want to try and paint. And I probably am guilty of this. Can take numbers and skew them any way we want.
Numbers and skew.
We often can take numbers and we'll fit them into the narrative that we want to try and paint.
Yeah. And even before that, you had Bart Scott. Bart Scott. Who gave a rat's ass about Bart Scott and what he had to say until he was like, I'd take Teddy Bridgewater over Dak Prescott. I'd let him walk. And then he turned it around and, you know, Jameis Winston. I'd take Jameis Winston over Dak Prescott. How'd that work out for Jameis Winston this year? I'm just curious. But that's what it is, guys. If you want publicity, if you want to make a new career, all you have to do is trash Dak Prescott. Tell everybody he's ass. Tell everybody he's the weakest link. Tell everybody that, you know, he's not a top 15 quarterback. The hate creates a name for yourself. That's what they do. In the end, 12 wins. 12 wins. And I look at that game against the Titans, you know, short week. They will make excuses for other people when they don't have a great game. They will turn around and say that the Eagles surviving against the Indianapolis Colts 17-16, that this is a great win. They find a way to win when they're not doing their best. And MVP for Jalen Hurts. Cowboys didn't lose to the Tennessee Titans. They didn't lose to it. They just didn't win good enough. And we've seen the Cowboys win and score 50 points and still get trashed. In the end, we're dealing with people that didn't think the Cowboys were going to win 10 games. They have never believed in the Cowboys, have never said, this is a good team. They will always tell you that they're a disappointment, that they are, not meeting expectations, that they're a terrible team, and that they are just doing things that nobody else is doing. The Cowboys have the same number of turnovers as the Kansas City Chiefs, the same number of turnovers as the Buffalo Bills. Yet, they're still 12-4. So how confident are you on the Cowboys as a playoff team?
A clean operation when you're going up against a team that from a talent standpoint is inferior. The Tennessee Titans have 22 players on IR. They rested several starters on the offensive side of the ball and on the defensive side of the ball. They're on their third starting quarterback. Yeah. This is an opportunity for you to make a statement about the brand of ball you want to play. It's not necessarily about the opponent. It's about you taking care of your business. And when you don't have a clean operation and you get bailed out by the drops by the Tennessee Titans receivers and the 10 penalties for 124 yards, that's not exactly how you draw it up in terms of trying to win a game, especially on a short week on the road. Looking at Dak Prescott, 14 turnovers in the last 9 games, that ain't it, bro. No. That's not it. You're 1-3 in the playoffs, and you had 3 interceptions in the postseason. That's something that we got to continue to watch because that's going to be a problem.
I think RC has something to say here.
The Cowboys say they don't care about style points. These guys clearly do. Where do you come down on this?
Bro, what is wrong with y'all? Like, the Dallas Cowboys are the quarterbacks of the entire NFL, right? They get all this credit when they have a huge win. And we're like, oh, Dallas is going to go to the Super Bowl, and FPI has them #1, and all the analytics lead to a Super Bowl. And then they win a game against a football team that the last time I checked has all NFL players on it. I do get it. It's not the Tennessee Titans with Derrick Henry and all of these things, and all of these people are resting. But you got to go out and win football games. And if the Dallas Cowboys start this season and we say at week 16 they're a 12-4 football team, they're a playoff football team, they have an opportunity still to fight to win the NFC East, we're saying that's a great season. But they didn't play well in Tennessee and they didn't beat them by enough points, and now we're going to be all nervous and scared and we're going to say the Cowboys aren't a team that can win the NFC. But yes, they are. The Dallas Cowboys are still a top 3 team in the entire conference. The Dallas Cowboys are a team that played the biggest game of their season in the prime time or in 4 o'clock on Sunday. Had to get on a plane and go to Tennessee on Thursday. Had to get up for a game where they knew they weren't playing against anybody. All of those things are difficult. We have now become get-up stars, and we say we forget what it's like to play on Thursday night. We forget what it's like to play an inferior team. We forget what it's like to come off of a week when we had a very tough game, a game we had to be at an emotional high. We find a way to win, and then we're playing a team that's not even trying to win the game. But we still win, and then people still get upset with us. What the hell's going on, guys? I get it. We're judging them on whether or not this is a team that can win in the playoffs. This team can beat a Philadelphia. This team can beat a San Francisco. This team can beat a Tampa Bay. This team can beat a Minnesota. How do we know? Because they already beat 2 of them, and they beat the brakes off of 1 of them in their place. Do I think the Dallas Cowboys have flaws? Absolutely. Am I panicking because they didn't beat this team like the 95-96 Nebraska Tommy Frazier team beat everybody? Hell no. Dallas Cowboys did what they had to do. They took care of business. Now they move on to next week.
But, RC, the conversation ain't about the Dallas Cowboys being able to put it together for 1 game. The conversation is about the Dallas Cowboys being able to put it together for successive games and get to the Super Bowl. Teams. That's what it's all about. And you're saying they're a top 3 team in the NFC. That ain't what their records say. They don't have a better record than the Eagles. They don't have a better record than the Vikings. They don't have a better record than the 49ers. Right now, as it stands, they're likely going
Yes, they do. Yes, they do have a better record than the 49ers, Chris Canty.
And they beat both the other 2 teams.
They do have a better record than the 49ers.
They do.
Because the 49ers
You're loud and wrong.
But, all right, right. Semantics
the 49ers are going to win the division. The 49ers are going to host a home playoff game. That's the whole point. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be the 5th seed at best in the NFC. So they're going on the road.
I just wanted to get you fired up.
They're going on the road for 3 straight weeks in the playoffs against really good teams. Can they win those games? Based on all of the turnovers that we're seeing from Dak Prescott and his offense, I don't think they can. And that's the litmus test. That's the standard that we're going to judge the Dallas Cowboys by.
I'm sorry. Didn't they go to Minneapolis and kick that ass 40-3? Did I miss that? Did I miss that? Did they not just beat with Dak Prescott, and have they always owned the Eagles with Dak Prescott? I believe 8-3 the Dallas Cowboys are with Dak Prescott versus the Eagles. Come on, Chris. Come on, Chris. Are you trying to be a village idiot too? I think that's what it is. Chris, former Cowboy, Giant player, okay? Good guy in the community, okay? I got a hat over there, autographed, signed by him and stuff. But he's out there saying, well, shit, let me get some of this, Dak King-making.
Sorry, I had to laugh a little bit. RC woke up, he was angry. RC was mad. Come on, it was just had Christmas. Let's be excited here. It's almost a new year. But first of all, I'm not nervous or scared.
Haven't even played this.
I'm not nervous or scared, RC. I ain't nervous or scared. But the only one way to settle this, we might have to, put a little wager on it. RC's so confident in the Cowboys going into the playoffs.
We ain't putting no real money on the Dallas Cowboys. We ain't putting no real money on them winning the Super Bowl. Stop it.
This is not daily wager. We're not talking about that.
What are we doing?
I want to know. Look, anybody can look at the standings, and anybody can see that they're 12-5. I mean, like what we do here is
12-4.
What you see. And I'm looking at the Cowboys 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now. What kind of team are they going to be? Dak Prescott is leading the league in interceptions, and he missed 5 games. How concerned are you that this is, RC, that this is not the kind of team that can string together 3 or 4 playoff wins?
I think what you're asking me, can this team string together 3 or 4 playoff wins? If we get the Dak Prescott that we saw against the Philadelphia Eagles, and even including the pick 6, can that quarterback win 3 games on the road? Hell yes. If we look at what this defense is at its best, when DeMarcus Lawrence and Michael Parsons are playing at a high level, when that 3-safety package is playing the way that we've seen them play throughout the year with Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, and J-Ron Kearse, when we find when Leighton Vander Esch is healthy, when Trayvon Diggs, instead of dropping the pick 6, catches the pick 6, which we've seen him do 90% of his career. If that team plays at that level, that team can beat anybody in the NFL. I am concerned about the Dak Prescott interceptions, but I'm also smart enough to see where the Dak Prescott interceptions come from. I'm smart enough to see that when the ball hits Noah Brown right in the 5 and it bounces into Rayshawn Jenkins' hands for a pick 6 to end the game against Jacksonville, that ain't Dak Prescott. I'm smart enough to see yesterday when a tight end misses the ball 3 times in a row and it bounces into Kevin Byard's hands, that's not Dak Prescott. And so we have to be able to watch the game objectively and understand what some of these things are that are happening to Dak Prescott. As a team, they need to be more sound. As a team, they need to be more disciplined. But this team has everything it needs to win. Now, the question is this. Do I pick them right now if Jalen Hurts is healthy? No, I don't. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFC. I think it's a very close game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. With all that said, you just need that puncher's chance. And the Dallas Cowboys, to me, have a top 3 chance to get to the Super Bowl.
There you go.
Thank you for watching.
And I want to remind everybody, because people seem to have selective memory on everything. Because I don't think people remember Mr. Pick 6 himself. Matthew Stafford last year led the NFL in interceptions with 17. Let me say that one more time. Matthew Stafford led the NFL last year with 17. I believe he had 4 or maybe 5 pick 6s. So, I'm just going to leave that right there. Now, we will be live streaming, probably starting about 12:45 or so. I'm going to go do some work in the workshop here before the games because there are key games that are going on. If the Giants end up beating the Colts, they end up securing a playoff spot and makes next week's game of course, null and void. It doesn't matter what happens with them with the Eagles. They probably rest their players. So you actually want to root for the Colts. You've got the Eagles taking on the Saints. Of course, we want to root for the Saints and hope that they can beat them to still have a chance to get that number 1 seed. And you want to root for, well, it's the Commanders and the Browns. Now, I'd like to see all the NFC East teams in the playoffs. That would be kind of cool. So if that's the case, you're kind of rooting for the Commanders to win and kind of make the game next week important. And I will go ahead and finish one other thing, because it's almost comical to me when you listen to some of the talking heads. And just like I said with Dan Orlovsky,
can take numbers and skew them any way we want. We often can take numbers and we'll fit them into the narrative that we want to try and paint. And I probably am guilty of this. Can take numbers and skew them any way we want. We often can take numbers and we'll fit them into the narrative that we want to try and paint.
Now here's the interesting thing about what Chris Canty was saying, that, you know, that Minnesota Vikings got a better record than the Dallas Cowboys. Well, they actually have one game ahead of them. I'll give you that. But the Cowboys blew them away. But take a look at the NFC East, where currently you have the best teams, allegedly, in the Philadelphia Eagles' best record. The Cowboys, of course, are second. But then you got the Giants and Washington that are also 2 playoff teams. Currently, you have 4 teams sitting in playoff position in one division. Take a look at the NFC North. The Bears, 3 wins. Green Bay's playing better, but Green Bay has not been very good. The Lions are playing better. But are we going to say that those victories in that division are the same as what the Cowboys have in theirs? And take a look at the NFC West. The Cardinals and the Rams are dismal. Seattle is better than expected, but they've gone back to being about the team that we thought. So you look at the San Francisco 49ers and look at their division. Playing in their division is easier than probably playing outside of their division. But it's okay. It's okay. We know how it all rolls. Anyway, have a happy new year, and I'll see you guys in a couple hours.
Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
How about them Cowboys?